Okay, so welcome to this last topic of of stupa architecture. Now we will be looking at stups in foreign countries. Um, See, why we're doing in foreign countries, because the Indian style of stupa architecture and the Buddhist thought had ventured into many different areas, whether it be in modern day Nepal, in the areas of Tibet, Bhutan, Myanmar, and the Southeast Asian countries. But the reason why we're going to discuss these examples of stups from these countries is because they're very much heavily influenced from Indian style of architecture, and they have a very long history. Many of the Indian kings were some of the people who had founded these stup, and and in some cases, many of these stup which were very old in nature, they also contain a lot of the relics of the Buddha. So we'll begin with some countries who their architecture was very much influenced by Indian styles. The kings were very much involved in the construction, as well as visitation as a pilgrimage site, and the cultural exchange and Buddhist religious exchange between these places. So the first country we'll look into is Nepal. Now, why Nepal becomes a very important place, especially if you want to look at stupa architecture, is because Nepal was actually the home place of the Shakyamuni Buddha. It was in Kapila Vastu that he was born, but it was in Lumbini, which is right in modern Nepal, that he had given his first, in which he had attained his enlightenment. So that's why in Nepal most of the stupas which were made by Buddha's family himself. So we'll talk a little bit about their structure. So most of these stupas are found mostly in the Kathmandu valley. Now Kathmandu is the capital of Nepal, and we know Nepal is a very mountainous region having very direct access to the Himalayas. So it is in the valley region between these very mountainous regions and hilly regions is where these stupas were made. So they follow the dome-shaped base of the stupa architecture, but instead of a cylindrical spire, they would have a square tower, which which would be painted with something called as Buddha's eyes. So in that tower, faces of Buddha used to be painted on, and the spire, the Harmika, which used to act as a terrace, now it has become a spire. So that would have a 13-tiered spire, similar to the architecture of the Gandharan region. And another very interesting fact that these places or sites used to hold these spinning prayer wheels, like the ones we see here. So these prayer wheels would have one spun would radiate a lot of different sounds. There will be melodious tunes which you could hear, and most of these prayer wheels would be inscribed with a lot of verses from the Buddhist texts. Another very important feature of their architecture was the inclusion of these flags. So you would have seen these very different types of flags. So that is also a very interesting part of the Nepali architecture. So we have an example of a Nepali stupa over here, and we would see what types of structure it had. So the dome, which was used to be based on, would be atop a sort of a platform called as the mandala. Now these mandala platforms could be either 1 terraced, 2 terraced, or 3 terraced. Usually they were quite not too high, so the stairs between these mandala terraces would be very little, and these mandalas would be very wide in nature, surrounding a very large area. Okay, so then between the dome and the mandala, you had these niches which were 108 in number, which was a very holy number even in the Buddhist thought. Then you would have the dome, semi-spherical dome, and on top of that you would have the square tower which the Buddha's eyes and the face would be painted on, then the 13-tiered spire, and then the pinnacle which would hold the umbrella and the you can say and the caping stone on it. Okay, there will be spray of flags. So between the 13 spire and the umbrella, you would have this lotus bud shaped sort of structure. So especially with the Nepali sort of stupa architecture, it was wide at the base and it became very narrow and tall at the top. Okay, so we look at some of those examples. The one of the very famous examples and part of the original 8 stupas was the Ramagrama stupa, which was built between Mauryan and Gupta periods at around 483 BCE. Why was this place chosen as the one of the 8 holy sites? The reason is being that the Ramagrama was a very important city of the Kolyas people whom Queen Mahadevi was from, which was Buddha's mother. So these people, the Kolyas, had taken some parts of the relic and had erected a stupa in that place. In this, so the source stupa is mentioned in the Sri Lankan chronicle named the Mahavamsa. So the Sri Lankan chronicle, the Mahavamsa, is a book written by a Buddhist monk which describes the advent of on the creation of the Buddha and the Buddhist doctrine, as well as the advent of Buddhism into the Sri Lankan area. So when it talks about the advent of Buddhism and the part comes in of the story where they have to divide his relics after his death between the people, Ramagrama also was chosen as a site. Now, during the ancient period, during the that between 483 and 140 BCE, a very massive flood had ravaged that region, which actually had washed away most of the relics from that area. So at present, this stupa does not have any relics in it.